Doom 2016 ended with Samuel Hayden revealing his true nature, showcasing the power of the Crucible, an impossibly powerful weapon. He says to you,
"But with this, we can continue our work. I am not the villain in this story. I do what I do because there is no choice."
Rerouting tether coordinates complete.
Our time is up. I can't kill you, but I won't have you standing in our way. Until we see each other again.
Such a cold ending to such an excellent game. It sets up your expectations of Doom Eternal to continue this narrative and showcases the true strength and brilliance of Samuel Hayden. But instead, in Doom Eternal, we got a mockery of his character. He's crippled before we get a chance to do it ourselves. He tags along with us like a friend, as if nothing ever happened. And then later, in the Ancient Gods DLC, he discards his old body as if it means nothing and becomes Samur Maykr with a stupid voice filter, and you can't even understand what he's saying half the time. Samuel Hayden is my favorite character in the Doom series, and seeing him just tossed aside for some stupid Maykr storyline was a spit in the face, and easily the worst part about Doom Eternal for me personally. But we can't rewrite history. So in this concept, I decided to continue this story and rework it into something I believe this new Samuel Hayden would do. Something drastic and sinister. A plan that would take a lifetime's work to complete, all so he may get a chance at revenge against the Slayer in the sequel to Doom Eternal. Going back to the ending of Doom 2016, notice how Samuel Hayden says, "I won't have you standing in our way." Who else do you think he could be referring to? Surely not the UAC. He's just helped the Slayer destroy one of the UAC's most valuable research facilities throughout the entire game. An argument could be made he's talking about the Ark, the saviors of Earth in Doom Eternal, but I don't really believe that either. Samuel Hayden is a cunning character, one with a lot of patience and one that would have absolutely no issues setting up a long-term plan that would take years to benefit from. He's already proven to have used multiple bodies to extend his life and influence. Samuel Hayden has many tricks up his metaphorical sleeves, and proving to have near eternal life, I don't think time is a factor for him to worry about. Despite what id Software would later do with Samuel Hayden, I firmly believe that when he was speaking to the Slayer at the end of Doom 2016, that was the first time he was genuinely truthful. He's cunning, but also cocky, and that juxtaposition is his one and only weakness. Unlike other villains in the Doom series, Samuel Hayden doesn't seek an abstract goal like destroying the universe, but rather something that will benefit him and prolong his life, influence, and power. The man's a coward at heart, and that separates him from the religious zealots like Olivia Pierce and the UAC, who initially appear similar. Samuel Hayden being truthful in the credits makes so much sense. Just earlier in the game, he had you in his office. He knew he couldn't trust or predict the Slayer's movements, so he had the Slayer tethered for his own safety.
Do not be alarmed by the system update. It is a prototype of our interdimensional tether, a means for me to pull you back from hell. I'm sorry for the jolt, but I didn't think you'd allow its installation voluntarily.
This was an act of deception. One to build a false sense of trust so we wouldn't suspect his betrayal later on or ever question his motives. Samuel Hayden is wiser than the Spider Mastermind, more dangerous than the Icon of Sin, and far more terrifying than the Dark Lord when you consider his Maker origins and the interdimensional abilities that they possess. If he were to forge a union between heaven and hell, nothing would ever get in his way. The name's FooSarr, and Usually my introductions to concepts aren't this long, but since this is about Samuel Hayden, I figured he deserved the extra screen time. In this video, I'll be delving deep into my concept for what should happen after Samur Maykrs' defeat in Doom Eternal. The rebirth of an ancient Maker god who forged an unholy alliance between heaven and hell. This is what I would do to make Samuel Hayden the next major antagonist in the Doom series. A quick aside, if you're ever wanting to learn more about these concepts or find out how best to contact me, please check out the FooVerse website. Thank you. Samuel Hayden lays bloodied and broken at the end of the Ancient Gods Part 1. The only reason he still lives is because the father told the Slayer that he was a servant of his. He said that it's not required to end his life, and just like that, Samur vanished without a trace. Undoubtedly, the father and Samur have a long-standing history together, and while it's not clearly known why the father wanted Samur left alive, I'm sure it's something that will resurface somewhere in the sequel to Doom Eternal, or already happened in Dark Ages, but I still haven't got around to playing it. I've got the game now, just have to play through it. So for this concept, I will be blissfully ignorant of the fact that the father and Samur have a connection and just focus on Samuel Hayden and what we already know to be true. After Samur's defeat to the Slayer in Doom Eternal, he flees the arena to the red forests that surround the Halt. Deep amongst the trees, he finds a dilapidated shrine, overgrown but grandiose in design. Looking to heal his wounds, he ventures into the shrine and discovers what was once the body of the most powerful Maker. Samur would in fact find what remains of the father's body, a legendary suit of armor, one which had the power to command the Maker hive mind. Using this power, Samur may yet stand a chance at revenge against the Slayer, but he soon realized without the father's life essence, nothing would be able to power it. Samuel Hayden, being a resourceful thinker, remembered that the Slayer had left the crucible within the Fortress of Doom, and quickly left to reclaim it in hopes that it would power the armor. Returning to the shrine deep within Urdak, Samur now wielded the crucible once more. Wasting no time, he powered the father's armor and entangled his body within it. Samur's transfiguration had reached a point of no return. Even though he was Maker, his appearance was undoubtedly demonic in nature. This was beginning to have an effect on him, and he could feel himself becoming maddened with thoughts of rage. Visions of his creators, both the Father and the Dark Lord, clouded his mind and better sense of judgment. Wishing this madness to end, Samur remembered what he had been researching when he was stationed on Mars. There were 6 beings hidden deep within Hell and the cosmos. 6 beings that, when pleased, would grant a powerful servant a wish. These 6 beings were known as the Archdemons. By this point in the story, the Slayer had defeated the Dark Lord in ritual combat, and with the help of the Night Sentinels, destroyed Amora. The Slayer had collapsed, and wasting no time, Samur, with his newly acquired dominion over the Maykrs, commanded 3 angels to seal the Slayer's body in a tomb and keep it under a watchful eye. With his biggest threat now entombed, Samur journeyed through the deepest reaches of Hell and the cosmos in search for the 6 Archdemons, great beings, each shrouded in mystery. Samuel Hayden ensured that during his time of research with Olivia Pierce that she, nor the UAC, could ever know about the Archdemons. Not even Vega would be privy to this information, for even back then he planned to utilize their power. Everyone was a pawn in Hayden's game, and each piece, despite his defeat, had fallen into place. All he needed now was to cure the transfiguration, purging his mind from these maddening thoughts. In time, Samur would meet with each of the 6 Archdemons, and they would grant him their strength in exchange for his soul. Samuel Hayden knew of a way to cheat death. Even if he were to lose his soul to these Archdemons, he would be able to transfer a digital copy of himself into another soul, effectively resurrecting himself. This was something he first discovered possible when working in the Lazarus Labs on the UAC Mars base back in Doom 2016. The Archdemons granted Samuel Hayden their divinity, and the price was his soul. He was cured of the transfiguration, but cursed with 6 new afflictions that forced him to play a part in their grand plan. The Archdemons knew that the Slayer would awaken to cull what remained of Hell in the Dark Lord's absence. They too were cunning, and created a well of powerful souls that when full would have the strength to resurrect the Dark Lord. Samuel Hayden knew the price he had to pay, but had little fear, for he knew how to ultimately escape death. The beginning of a story often echoes the end, and in this instance, Samur knew that he would once again find himself defeated by the Slayer. Either way, he was going to die. But his plan survives, and now knowing that the Dark Lord will return to battle the Slayer more powerful than ever before, Samuel Hayden begins preparing a new soul, knowing the aftermath of their battle will allow him to rule unimpeded by the forces of Hell, his creators, or even the Night Sentinels. For Samuel Hayden is always one step ahead. After his deal with the Archdemons, he returns to Urdak to rebuild what was ruined. He constructs new Urdak in his own image. A mirror realm of hell. What once was Urdak was now his playground. A stage for his death, and a lie that would later cost thousands of lives. There was no savior now. And with the stage set, Samuel Hayden freed the Slayer from his tomb so that he could complete the final stage of the Lazarus plan. On the precipice of the Dark Lord's return, the Slayer fought through heaven and hell, defeating each of the 6 Archdemons, unknowingly fulfilling Samur's goals, and now, in New Urdak, he stands to face Argent Samur. Samuel Hayden and the Slayer stand across from each other, each having gone through many trials and challenges along the way. In some way, their journey through the sequel of Doom Eternal was similar. The Slayer's path was paved with blood, and Samur's was paved with lies and deceit, but each of them journeyed through the same lands. Samur, now Argent Samur, appears both divine yet demonic. With the help of the Archdemons and his new Maykrs, Argent Samur was able to fuse the strongest elements of Amorian design and Maykr design into one suit of armor. This armor is unlike that of the Father's. It fits his natural body and allows him to move around swiftly. This light suit of armor will allow Samur to channel Argent energy freely through the power of the Crucible hidden within his chest. Naturally, this is a noticeable weak point within the armor, but without it, he wouldn't be nearly as powerful. Commanding the Maykrs and the demons, Argent Samur will once again battle the Slayer in an attempt at revenge. This fight will have 2 stages, and at half health, all of Samur's attacks will chain together, creating an endless combo leading to devastating results. Samuel Hayden once said that he knew he could not defeat the Slayer, but if he could weaken him for the Dark Lord, that would be victory enough. For Samur would ultimately cheat death. In this fight, Argent Samur would use raw Argent energy from the Crucible within his chest to attack you. His attacks will surge with this unrefined energy and create beams that leave the ground scorched for a few seconds. Touching the scorch marks or being directly hit by this attack will leave the Slayer on fire for a few seconds and disable all weapon mods for a few seconds as well. Argent Samur will move extremely quickly around the arena, going between grounded and flying stances. When in the air, he'll open portals that will allow him to send attacks off in different directions to catch you off guard. One such attack is his own version of the BFG. This will see Samur charge up Argent energy within his hands for about 5 seconds before releasing it towards you. This attack can be interrupted, which will stun Samur and allow you to get some damage in. While grounded, Argent Samur will pull out the Crucible from within his chest and begin swinging it towards you. This will send out beams that travel in your direction, much like the Dread Knight. It's important to dodge these beams, as if you're hit, you will be stunned for a few seconds, much like being hit by a Bloodmaker. In addition to this, Samur will follow up on this attack with a teleport strike to ensure additional damage as a punishment for not avoiding the stun. This whole attack can be avoided by jumping or dashing, but if you're hit, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. Regardless of if Argent Samur is airborne or grounded, he can conjure Argent energy from the ground in small clusters. There will be a visual indication of this before it can affect you, and while this attack is in progress, Argent Samur will be stationary, and his shield will be down. Then finally, whenever Argent Samur is blood punched, he will create 6 shadow clones of himself that surround the Slayer. Each of these can be defeated in only one hit, but they will deal the full amount of damage. These shadow clones will circle the Slayer at a moderate rate and begin to charge a focused fire beam attack. If they are not defeated within 10 seconds, the Slayer will take critical damage, as this beam is extremely powerful. That brings me to the next topic of this fight. How are you going to deal damage? Since Argent Samur moves around very quickly, cannot be locked onto by any weapon, and has an Argent Shield barrier that protects him while he's not attacking, it all might seem too daunting. Fortunately, during any attack of Samur's, his Argent Shield will disappear, leaving him open to damage. Since the Argent energy must be channeled into an attack first, it leaves nothing spare to defend Samur. While Argent Samur is attacking, if you deal enough damage, he will falter. This is your opportunity to perform a blood punch and progress to the next stage of the fight. After 2 blood punches, Argent Samur will enter phase 2, and as mentioned before, his shield will disappear, opening him to take damage. The trade-off in phase 2 of this fight is that every attack of Argent Samur's will be endlessly chained into one another, leading to a fast-paced, frantic fight where you cannot afford to make a mistake. After enough damage has been dealt, Argent Samur will falter, and after the 3rd blood punch, the battle will conclude, and a blinding white light will cloud your view. Argent Samur will begin to attract the surroundings towards him, forming a cocoon from the debris. Quickly, the floor will give out from beneath you, and you must now race to the top of the Maykr Sanctum to avoid being pulled into this forming black hole. This part of the fight is an intermission of sorts, a chance for you to change focus and use some of those platforming skills. You'll need to grapple and climb your way up this very tall Maykr tower under a time limit, and once you've reached the top, jump onto a nearby asteroid for safety. If you don't make it in time, the entire level will be dragged down into this black hole, and you will simply fail the fight. Jettisoning out from the base of the Maykr Sanctum to be in line with this asteroid, dragging the ruins of Urdak with it, is the cocoon that Samur wrapped around himself. Its appearance is biblical. Wheels within wheels, and 25 eyes across their circumference. Each eye must be shot off and will collapse after taking damage from any weapon, so the chain gun here would probably work really well. The arena is a donut-shaped asteroid with Samur's cocoon placed in the center. From the ground will rise demons that halt your progress, and falling from the skies above are Maykrs to support the demons, working in tandem to defeat you and protect their new god. I decided to try my hand at illustrating this arena for you and drew this picture. Now, I never claimed to be an artist, but at the very least, it's not AI garbage. As you can see, the Samur cocoon would be central around this donut-shaped asteroid, and while I somehow forgot to draw the eye wheels on the main drawing, I did include a mock-up just above. If you want to see this image in more detail, check out my website, the FooVerse. It's linked below. Anyway, once you have destroyed each of the 25 eyes, the cocoon's rings will become unstable and crumble to dust. As the cocoon lays motionless and defenseless, a rush of Argent energy surges through the asteroid and powers up your BFG, letting you unleash a powerful, abnormally powerful blast into the cocoon. Then, in the vacuum of space, on an asteroid, surrounded by the remains of this new Urdak, the Slayer will look up from the blinding light to see the horror that had emerged from within the cocoon. It was Samuel Hayden, purified, perfected, cursed, and yet with the appearance of a godlike being, the Father reborn. Pure Samur, the true Maykr god, imbued with the power of all 6 Archdemons. The heavens and hell converged. From the darkness of space, a red glow emerged, revealing the crucible, enhanced to match the size and strength of its new wielder. Before the Slayer was a titan of legend, a godlike being that had the power to strike him down effortlessly. Pure Samur will boast about his strength, reveal that the Archdemons had a hand in his plans, and begin to manipulate space around you to create a ring of asteroids from the wreckage of New Urdak. Each asteroid contains fragments of New Urdak within them, part arena, part asteroid, and much the same as with the battle against the Icon of Sin, you will need to traverse each arena asteroid around Samur throughout the fight. He will use the Crucible to absolutely obliterate each arena after a short time, so you must continue to move around. Slowly throughout the fight, they will be replaced, but it's far more important to remain in motion. Even though Pure Samur is stationary during this fight, much like the Icon of Sin, he will never stop attacking you. Each asteroid will be surrounded by demons and Maykrs for you to fight and balance your focus between. All the while, Pure Samur is attacking you relentlessly. I've gone ahead and put the sorts of attacks Pure Samur will attack you with on my website in more detail and in the pinned comment below for your convenience. Once again, to help illustrate this fight in your mind, I've gone ahead and drawn how I would imagine this to roughly look. Again, it's a rough sketch, so don't take it too literally, but you could imagine that on each of these asteroids there would be an arena like the Khan Maykrs boss fight. Pure Samur will, over time, swing the Crucible down and each arena asteroid will be vaporized, so you need to keep moving between arenas. Being hit by the Crucible will send you to 1 health, because I feel sorry for you if you're an Ultra Nightmare. And that's the only reason why. I would imagine they would all be close enough to jump between, and if not, there would be a grapple point between each asteroid arena. The main gimmick of this fight is Pure Samur's wing eyes. The Archdemons placed their curse in each of these wing eyes, and by destroying them, you effectively remove their hold on Samur. To be able to damage them, you will need to use frequent attacks, ideally from a plasma-based weapon, to degrade his shield, and then he will be stunned briefly, allowing you to destroy one of his wing eyes. Afterwards, the shields will return and be invulnerable to damage for a few seconds. With each eye you destroy, Samur will become weaker and permanently be unable to use one of his 6 powerful abilities, gifted to him by the Archdemons. More on those soon. I wanted this phase to feel like you were slowly dismantling a mechanical god, unplugging the power source and watching it slow down and degrade. While draining Pure Samur's shield and destroying his cursed wing eyes, you will have to micromanage both Maykrs and demons, of which there would be Maykr Venators, another concept of mine. I think there would be the ideal pressure units in this fight, not too tanky, easy to dispatch, and impossibly distracting if left ignored for too long. If you want to know more about them, check out my concept on new Maykrs. I go into the philosophy behind what makes Maykrs different from demons at a gameplay level, and I think that's important to mention here because Pure Samur is essentially the apex of Maykr evolution. Just like the Eternal Demons, which are the perfected apex version of demons, this is sort of like the perfected apex version of Maykrs. I thought that might be important to mention, one, because it's a little bit of a cheeky plug, and two, if you're enjoying the video so far, then I think you'll like those 2 videos as well. Now, I've mentioned the curses that the Archdemons had blessed Samuel Hayden with, but you might be asking, what exactly do they do? Each of the 6 eyes on Pure Samur's wings will correspond to one of these curses. With each eye destroyed, he will lose the ability to perform an attack. The first curse, Infernal Aegis, will act like a brimstone shield that defends Samur and blocks projectiles, even after his energy shield has been disabled. The next is Unholy Dominion, which randomly buffs a group of demons on one of the asteroid arenas, making it tricky to balance your focus between Pure Samur and your surroundings. The next curse, Unholy Judgment, will send meteors crashing down randomly on each arena, which create a purple flame that when touched will cripple the Slayer and drain all of your shields. One of Samur's most devastating attacks is the Sinful Maelstrom, a black hole that sucks up all of your projectiles and redirects it back at you. This attack can only be destroyed with a precise hit from the ballista or the heavy cannon. The fifth curse is Doomed Armageddon. This attack will have pure Samur channel Argent energy and release a powerful laser blast across every arena in a circular motion. It will swing by twice, so make sure you remember to avoid it on the way back around too. Now, after performing this attack, pure Samur will remain motionless for a few seconds, allowing you to get some easy hits in. And finally, the Eyes of Annihilation is the last curse and will only be used once the final eye has been destroyed. This attack will create a pentagram sigil across the playable space that will permanently scorch the arenas with hellfire. From this hellfire will emerge past bosses and powerful demons from your adventure before as phantoms. All phantoms have 1 hit point, but will deal the full amount of damage. Part of this attack will also see all but 3 asteroid arenas being destroyed, and forcing the Slayer and Samur to have less wiggle room as the fight concludes. By destroying just one of pure Samur's wing eyes, one of these curses will be lifted. Over the course of the fight, it should feel as if he is growing weaker and you are gaining an upper hand. After all 6 eyes have been destroyed, pure Samur will be noticeably slower, and will now rely on the Crucible for every attack, which will prove fatal. Despite this, his shield no longer works, and you will be able to grapple to his core and land the killing blow. After weakening pure Samur from his most powerful form and lifting the Archdemon's curses that were giving him unholy strength, you grapple to his body to end his life. Samur will wake up out of the stun, grab the chain and reel the Slayer in, grabbing him firmly in his hand, whilst mocking the Slayer. He begins to tighten his grip and surge the Slayer's body with lethal amounts of Argent energy before throwing him far off into space and onto a chunk of Urdak that had not yet been destroyed. Where the Slayer lands is a long hallway courtyard. At one end is Wrathful Samur, and the other the Doom Slayer. Due to the burst of Argent energy coursing through the Slayer's armor, he is severely weakened, and all of his auxiliary abilities like the dash, double jump, grenade launcher, etc. are no longer working. To make things worse, you only have access to the super shotgun, and luckily, your own Crucible Blade too. In a stroke of luck, the overload of Argent energy ended up giving the super shotgun a chain lightning attack that will set multiple demons ablaze, and the Crucible Blade is fully charged with infinite uses. The Slayer emerges from the rubble, super shotgun and Crucible Blade in hand, ready to finish this fight. Before him is a horde of Maykrs and demons, and behind it, in his cowardice, is a Wrathful Samur, with fragmented armor exposing his flesh, weakened from the fight just before. It's your objective to rip and tear through the horde and get close enough to Samur and end his life. As mentioned before, you will be using only the super shotgun and Crucible Blade, both of which are supercharged with Argent energy and have infinite uses. Your primary attack will be with the super shotgun, and your melee will be a free of cost swing of the Crucible Blade, killing any enemy in one hit. Every hit landed with the Crucible will restore health back to you, and due to the chain fire lightning effect on the super shotgun, that will restore armor. Down the opposite end of the courtyard, Wrathful Samur will hurl parts of Urdak towards you. Taking a page out of Kingdom Hearts 2, the Slayer will need to slice through the rubble with the Crucible Blade to avoid taking critical damage. Periodically, Samur will charge a laser from his eye to strike at you and around you, which will cause a lingering flame effect. Once you are close enough to Samur, he will begin to panic. You will need to grapple to his life core and blood punch it open. From here, you can perform a glory kill, and a cutscene will be played out. In the cutscene, the Slayer will crush the life core with his hands, creating a blast that knocks him back. Mid-air, he will grapple onto a nearby cacodemon and use it as leverage to redirect himself above Samur to ignite his crucible blade and then effortlessly slice Samur clean in half. This causes what's left of Urdak to collapse, and the Slayer will fall with the courtyard and Samur's freshly sliced open body into a portal to lands unknown. And there you have it. That's my take on what Samuel Hayden should be doing in the sequel to Doom Eternal. In my honest opinion, I think Samuel Hayden never should have been tied up in the whole Maykr storyline. He should have been a separate beast all on his own. And before Doom Eternal came out, I actually imagined Samuel Hayden having an army of Argent energy powered robots as enemies. You know how the UAC would enhance demons? Like the Revenant by giving it a jetpack, for example. Well, I figured in Doom Eternal, if Samuel Hayden was the actual antagonist, it will be his doing, and that the demons would have these mechanical enhancements because of him. But alas, id Software went a different route. Let me know in the comments below if I'm alone in thinking that, by the way. It won't change my mind either way, but I am curious to see what most people think about Samuel Hayden being the true antagonist. We can only hope id Software locks in for the sequel of Doom Eternal when that eventually comes out. I'm sure they will. I have faith. As always, if you're looking for updates about the channel, ways to connect with me now that I've moved away from Discord, or further details on my concepts, please check out the Fooverse website. It is the one-stop shop for all things FooSarr moving forwards, and if the link ever changes, each description will have the most up-to-date URL for your convenience. With all that said and done, thank you for watching. The name is FooSarr, and please do your best to stay creative, reinvent the box, and make the world a better place. Until next time.